everyone, and thank you for joining Spectrum News in partnership with AARP for Decision 2026 Community Conversation with Congressional Candidates. I'm Holly Gregory. And over the next hour, we're going to hear from some of the candidates running for Congressional District 16. I'll ask questions about issues that they could face in Congress, and the candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question. And if the time allows, there will also be lightning round questions, which require yes or no answers. We will rotate who answers first and last, and candidates, you'll have a timer in front of you, so please stick to the allotted time for those questions. And please remember also, this is not a debate, it is a conversation, and candidates, we ask you to please keep your responses focused on the issues and to avoid any personal attacks. We do have 7 candidates with us tonight. Joining us, we want to introduce them to you now in alphabetical order. We have Mark Davis, John Harris, Kelly Kirshner, Tamika Lyles, Glenn Pearson, Jan Snyder, and Eddie Speir. Thank you all for being here. Want to mention that Sydney Gruters and Ed Pope are also running, but they declined to join us tonight. And before we get started, let's take a closer look at District 16. It's currently held by Vern Buchanan, who is retiring, and the boundaries did change significantly during mid-decade redistricting. This district remains centered around Manatee County, but now includes a large portion of South Pinellas County and eastern Sarasota County. It also extends east to include all of DeSoto and Hardee counties. So once again, thank you all for being here for our conversation with the candidates. We have lots to get to, so we'll begin with our first finally, Eddie Speir.
Yeah, thank you for having all of us, and it's an honor to be the only Republican here. Shouldn't be the case, but it is. And I want to shout out to Polk County. I'm not sure if you mentioned Polk County is also in the district as well. Southwest Polk County, Fort Meade specifically in that area. So inflation is the hidden tax, and inflation happens when we continue to spend money that we don't have. It's just a simple rule. We need to spend the money that we have. We need to not spend money that we don't have, because we went another $2 trillion into debt, and that's a Republican-controlled all 3 branches of government, and we still went $2 trillion in debt. Now, what that means is anywhere from $12,400 to $20,000 for every individual taxpayer if they're making around $100,000 as a household. That's a huge problem and a huge burden, and it's the hidden tax that is causing the depreciation of our dollars to not go nearly as far as they should, as they would if Congress did its job and went to single item bills.
All right, thank you all for that first question. We're going to continue on with question number 2, still on the topic of the economy, and that is Congress passed a bipartisan bill recently, a housing bill that became law without the president's signature, and it aims to make home ownership more affordable. It does that by limiting the single family homes that can be purchased by companies, and also has provisions to make it easier to build affordable housing. What provisions of this bill do you support or oppose, and what additional steps do you think you would take to make housing more affordable for families? And once again, you'll have 1 minute to answer this question, and this time we will. It's okay, Eddie Speir.
The 9 scariest words are, I'm with the government and I'm here to help. There's a lot of concern that I have with this law, especially as it ties into the Live Local Act and what's happening in Tallahassee. So affordable housing becomes a canard, which then allows developers, and we need to call these developers out and say that it's Pat Neal, it's Carlos Baroof, it's Randy Benderson. These are the developers here in District 16 that are causing higher and higher density through a concept called land use arbitrage. So they come in and they buy their politicians, and we've got a problem with corruption. So I know we've got kind of people that are excited about a blue wave here, and people were excited about a red wave, and I've said we don't need a blue wave, we don't need a red wave, we need a tidal wave to take out all the corruption that is causing Florida to be paved over.
All right. Thank you all for that. Let's keep moving on the economy as promised. We're going to talk about Social Security, near and dear to the hearts of our partners here at AARP and so many others. And that is the Social Security trustees. They're now projecting that the retirement trust fund will be exhausted in 2032, so not too far off. Are you prepared to take up real reform to Social Security and Medicare to ensure future solvency? And what specific reforms would you be willing to support? And we will start this question on Eddie Speir.
Well, I think that we need to recognize this as political theater. The federal government absolutely has the ability to meet its commitments and must meet its commitments that it made to the citizens that paid into Social Security. I don't think this is another excuse for a more progressive tax or any other tax, because that's what the government ends up doing every time. They see a crisis, manufacture a crisis, and then find a way to tax somebody else. And then, no, let's tax this person. Oh, tax this person. Let's tax this person. Let's make this fair. We need to avoid those kind of political theater discussions and recognize that the problem that we have is spending in other areas. We need to attack fraud in all of the government. We've got tools in AI right now that can detect fraud across the board. We should be cutting fraud and cutting the bureaucracy immediately.
Let's do a lightning round here. We'll start off with our first lightning round, and for these we would like yes or no answers, please. So first up for our lightning round, the question is, how would you vote, how will you vote, yes or no, on the property tax amendment that is coming up in November, Amendment 3, and we will begin with Tamika Lyles. Yes or no on that?
No.
Okay, right on down the line.
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
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 All right, thank you. Next lightning round question, would you support a statewide moratorium on data centers? And we will begin this one with Glenn Pearson. Do you support a moratorium?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, please ask this question again. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
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 All right, a yes all around. And our third lightning round, do you think the Supreme Court was right when it rejected President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship? And for this, we will begin with Jan Snyder.
Certainly, yes.
No.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. Let's move on to our next big topic. We'll go back to minute-long questions, and for this one, we're going to talk about immigration. And the question is, do you support how ICE is currently carrying out immigration enforcement? If not, what changes would you make while still ensuring border security? And again, 1 minute for everyone to answer this. And for this question on immigration, we will begin with Eddie Speir.
ICE has been given a mandate, and they need to follow the law. Now, do I agree with every law enforcement task that's ever been done? No, there's always going to be problems, there's going to be challenges. And when I went to the border and recognized the attack on our country through Iran, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, and their coordinated efforts to bring in jihad into this country, there's still people that need to be removed, and we need to do that in a way that is both kind and expedited, so that certain people that are here that have been doing been active members of our society get fast-tracked. But on the other side, they still need to be deported, and we need to have immigration reform so that they can get fast-tracked and come back. But we still need to continue the deportation and follow the law so that people that come into this country legally.
Thank you. So we will move on to our next question here, and that is on the war in Iran. 18 service members from the U.S. have been killed and another 400 injured in this conflict with Iran. And right now, the president is legally authorized to continue this military action in Iran without congressional approval until September 5th. Now, if you were in Congress right now and you had to vote to authorize the war in Iran, how would you vote on this? And tell us why. And you'll have 1 minute for this as well. And we will begin, finally, the question to Eddie Speir.
It's easy for Democrats now to say, oh, absolutely not. But where were they with Obama? Where were they with Biden? Where were they when the roles were reversed? They were lockstep with the president in continuing to push forward. And I would surmise that most people here would be the same way if the role was reversed. Now, what I would do is, first, I want to remind everybody that Iran has been the #1 exporter of terror in the world through Hezbollah, Hamas, and are trying to dictate all the terms in the Middle East. That's a big challenge. But what I would do specifically, there's it doesn't have to be a yes or a no vote. You can hold back and make sure that we actually have a game plan so that we're not trusting the radical Shia clerics that are there, because they can't be trusted. They're going to get a nuclear weapon. They're going to do everything that they possibly can. And we need to take the 6 million expatriates and incorporate them so it's not our boots on the ground. It's the people who love their country, and we give them a game plan to take their country back.
Thank you all for the answer on Iran. What request for? Make sure we get to this. And that was on election integrity. The president has pushed, as you know, for the Save America Act, and it would require proof of citizenship to register and then voter ID at the polling places. So question is, are you in favor of this, and why or why not? You'll have 1 minute for this as well. And the question is, do you support the Save America Act? Why or why not? To Eddie Speir.
Yes, I do. And since I'm the only Republican, can I get 6 minutes on this one?
No, but go ahead.
Okay, so the head of the RNC is Joe Gruters and Evan Power, and they've shown that they don't care about election integrity because throughout Florida, they have purged America First Republicans. That's a big problem, and everybody needs to know that that has happened. And please check my website for some more of this information. But also, last time we were all talking, we had the same conversation. And I put it out there. I said, I will show you the proof of election fraud that's happening. And I put it out there. And I don't think I've heard anything from any of you guys, but I brought the receipts and said there is fraud, and we do need to have election integrity, and we need to reform the process with just simply voter ID.
Eddie Speir.
Can I get the 5 seconds back? Thank you. So, yeah, I'm the largest grassroots candidate in Florida history, as measured by the number of petitions that were signed. So nobody's talked to more people, knocked on more doors, and heard more about what people need and what representation looks like. I'm also an educator, and I believe in the Socratic method. I believe that we shouldn't just disenfranchise each other. We need to have these conversations, and I've really that's been great having these conversations. And thank you for having this conversation. We need to have more of this to heal the rift that's happening within our country.
Is all the time that we have. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for coming. It is very important that we continue to talk to each other and talk through differences and have these conversations. So thank you all so much for being here. And thank you everyone for watching at home our conversation with the candidates. Remember to get out to the polls for the primary on August 18th, and then the general election is on November 3rd. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for participating, and everyone have a great night.